Okay, so today I'm very excited because we have CJ Grace, who's the author of The Adulterous Wife, How to Thrive Whether You Stay or Not. And she's currently completing her next book, Hotel Chemo, Learning How to Laugh Through Breast Cancer and Infidelity. So CJ dealt with a double whammy of both discovering her husband's infidelity and then later being diagnosed with breast cancer and refusing to be a victim and she learned how to keep her wicked sense of humor through all this stuff that you went through. I mean, oh my gosh. And being an opinionated Brit living in America, CJ embraces the best and the worst of both cultures. She was a BBC staff journalist in the UK, and then she worked in China radio internationally in Beijing. And then Huffington, personally invited CJ to blog for the Huffington Post after receiving a copy of The Adulterous Wife. That's hard to say. I don't like that.
Just skip it again or cut it.
I know. It's just like I have a hard time with that word. So in association with divorceforce.com, CJ writes an infidelity advice column on our website, theadulterouswife.com. And she has a mantra, which she wants to share with everybody. The best revenge is to get past the need for it. I think that is a great mantra. And I'm kind of curious, I don't know if you know my story or not, but I actually got divorced because my husband had a fling. And then 3 years later, I found myself in a custody suit with breast cancer with no income. And I was going through this time and I walked up to other people in the hospital and I asked them, did something happen to you 1.5 to 2 years before you got the breast cancer? So I'm curious how long, after you found out your husband wasn't loyal and he was cheating, how long did it take before you got the breast cancer?
It was exactly that gap, about 18 months or so.
Yeah.
And there's a certain amount of stress you go through, to say the very least, when those things happen.
Yes.
And although there are many, many causes of breast cancer out there, stress is a big one.
Yes. And my own personal survey, I found out it was the court case, the fighting and just the hurt. And then a friend of mine who is a therapist said that there's a study done by Gottman, who is in love relationships, that has said that women put their hurts and they store their hurts in their heart, and then that the T cells aren't reproducing, which is the happiness chemical in the body or something to that extent. So it was just amazing when I learned all this stuff. So when you were kind of going through that betrayal, let's call it, what was your thinking and your mindset when you were kind of going through that terrible time?
Totally by surprise, because I was actually getting on better with my husband than I had for years. We were just having we had our 25th wedding anniversary. It was great. And then shortly after that, I found out that he had a mistress, and it really was devastating. I reacted probably just like any other woman going through it. The same kind of roller coaster of anger, fear, betrayal, insecurity. You are at the mercy of a tsunami of feelings. And what I absolutely hated was that I felt that I was becoming this stereotype of the wronged woman. And it's almost like there are only two roles you've got for that. You can either be the jealous bitch who deserved to be cheated upon, or you can be that poor, woman, long-suffering wife who's just a doormat and, just subservient, and that's why it happens. I didn't want either of those roles.
I don't
I
blame you.
wanted to get through it and use it as a way to become better than I was before. I realized that the emotions I was feeling were not making me feel, were not good for me, that it was almost like I had been hit by this, and then I was hitting myself. So
That's a good way to look at
you're
it.
churning and churning and churning and churning. So having spent several decades practicing things like various forms of meditation, qigong, those kinds of practices, at least gave me a foundation to think, you know, what I should be looking out for at all times, however crappy I feel, is my own best long-term interests. Easier said than done, but I had that idea right off the bat. And the mantra of my book is that the best revenge is to get past the need for it, because I saw so many people, and you read all these stories on the web, and I came across lots of people I knew who'd gone through divorces and unfaithful spouses and all of this, and they go into this revenge spiral, and they spend all this mental energy and all this time planning revenge on their partner and on the mistress. What a freaking waste of your life energy that is. Because all it does is keeps you stuck in that rut of sadness and betrayal.
But besides that, what people don't realize is that when you have all this anger and angst and stuff like this, and you're sending it out to do harm to somebody else, it's like this boomerang, and it comes back and it hits you even more. So you're doing more harm to yourself than, the person that you think you're sending this out to.
I came across ridiculous stories of revenge. For example, there was a woman who was married to a psychiatrist who had an affair with his ex-client, which is obviously verboten, and he left her for this woman. And the wife was so angry that she reported him to the medical board and got him struck off. Now, whatever your views on whether this man should or should not have been having an affair with an ex-patient, the result was that she got a far lower alimony settlement because the guy had no income. She cut off his source of revenue. So you think about these things. Another person that his wife was unfaithful, and what did he do? He filled her car up with concrete.
Oh, God.
And you think, wow, that's what, and you
Excuse me.
That, but then,
oh my gosh.
What next? What do you do if you want to negotiate your divorce settlement, decide how to deal with the kids, or there's some vital piece of information that your spouse knows that you've forgotten? I know I filled your car with concrete, but do you think you could tell me what the password is to my, to my Yahoo account? I don't think so. I think you've burned an awful lot more bridges than you need to by behaving in that way. So what I tried to do, however bad I felt, however nasty some of the thoughts I had was to not do anything that would make my relationship with my husband or with his mistress any worse than it needed to be. And right now I have a decent relationship with both of them. So I think
so did you have any, I'm sorry, did you have any concrete steps or tips that you could share with our audience on how you did that?
Absolutely. What is really important is to make the decision that now it's time to look after yourself. I said, I'm not going to be a victim. I am going to look after myself. One of the big things I did was to cultivate and rebuild a circle of friends. I had let go a lot of friends, both male and female, while I was looking after the kids, raising the kids, working in a business with my husband, ministering to his needs. And you end up in a funny kind of way losing your own identity in that kind of relationship. It's a common story for so many women.
Yes.
And I thought, now it's time for me. I can embrace my inner hedonist, throw away that Protestant ethic that I was so wedded to. I could enjoy time with friends and choose my own friends and go back and reclaim friendships with people that I'd let go of. All of that is very, very important, because the more you do and the more you have passions in your life and interests that you enjoy, that's filling your head, and you don't have those thoughts churning away. You want to have stuff in your head that you enjoy, and not those nasty thoughts about how horrible he's been, and what a nasty woman the mistress is, because those are the stereotypical thoughts that you're going to have rolling around. And unless you have, there are other ways to do it, not just finding a good circle of friends. I think that's very important. It's very important to find confidants that you can really trust, who provide advice that's useful to you, and who also aren't just waiting for the next installment of the soap opera that's your life, that they're going to gossip to everybody else. You don't really need those kinds of confidants. But on top of that, it's good to have some kind of contemplative meditation, breathing-ish practice. There are so many different things you can do. I found that by not stopping doing Qigong every morning, however crappy I felt, made a big difference.
That's good to know.
Outdoor exercise is incredibly good for your morale. Whatever you're doing, whether you're walking your dog, whether you're just having a stroll with friends, whether you're playing tennis, whatever it is that you do, very, very good for the morale.
Now, did you have a dream or a desire or something to help you move through that, to kind of pull you through, to say, hey, I have this new life I want to live, this new road you're going to go down? Did you have anything like that?
I ended up going down a very brand new road, but initially I just thought, this isn't working for me. I can't stay with this man. He didn't want to give up his mistress. I would have most likely tried to make a go of it if he had, for good or ill. And actually, I'm very happy that he didn't decide to get rid of her and try and stay with me, because I'm so much happier now than I was then.
Oh, no.
Anyway, the fact was that I just knew, this is not working for me. I have to find some other way to live my life. And I started thinking, well, what's my passion? I'm a journalist. I love writing.
Oh, there you go.
I love talking to people. And the book that I wrote, Adulterous Wife, How to Thrive Whether You Stay or No, How to Thrive Whether You Stay or Not, really wrote itself in a funny kind of way. I didn't decide, I feel like crap. I hate having this infidelity. It makes me feel like I'm worthless. And the only way to get out of this is to write a book. No, that it didn't happen like that. It was more organic. It was that I knew that so much of what was happening was ludicrous. It was sad and funny at the same time, and I had to write about it.
I see.
You know, my background is Monty Python and all of these British sarcastic humor. So wherever I went, even though, you know, sometimes you feel like crying, the best remedy for feeling like crying is finding things to make you laugh.
Yes.
And so I wrote the book. A friend of mine suggested to me, well, you know, why don't you have some cartoons in there to lighten the atmosphere?
Oh, that's a great idea.
And I thought, I can't do cartoons. I can't think of any cartoons. How am I going to do that? And then another friend lent me this Playboy book of cartoons. So guess what kinds of cartoons I ended up doing right at the beginning? Because, you know, adultery, what's adultery but sex with somebody else? So I ended up having a few cartoons like that. I got a very talented young artist to draw them for me. And then after I showed them to my friend, she said, oh, I thought you might have something a little bit more sort of upmarket than just cartoons like that. But anyway, I left a lot of those cartoons in the book, and I did also come to think about cartoons that didn't have sex in them. There are quite a lot of cartoons in there that really look at how divorce, how adultery, how infidelity would affect people, and takes, as we say in Britain, takes the mickey out of it. It's if you look at those things in that way, it can make you move forward and get out of that black hole of sadness much more quickly. I was very careful, for instance, when I was going through this process, not to go and see any movies that were depressing, not to read a lot of bad movies. It sort of drags you in there, and you've had enough of that. You want stuff that's going to lighten you. You want stuff that's going to uplift you. You want things that make you laugh. So I would go and revisit all my Monty Python episodes. I would go out with friends and just have a good laugh. And in a funny kind of way, it was like the old CJ was back, because for so many years it had been submerged by ministering to my kids, ministering to my husband, ministering to our joint business. And in some ways you become rather joyless.
Yes.
All of that.
And I remember when I was going through that time, as you were seeing movies, I saw my dad came up to visit one time when I was going through chemo, and he played the Wizard of Oz. And I was like laughing. And then I looked at it and I said, wow, I kind of feel like Dorothy. I've gone through the tornado. I got to get my mind straight. I got to forgive myself, and I have to have courage to live this new life. So some of the movies you see, you could relate to in different aspects.
Yeah, I mean, in my book, I find myself quoting from Star Trek, because I'm a Trekkie.
Oh, me too. I love Star Trek. Yeah.
To Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Because, again, one of the things that I was very careful about was not to make any rash decisions, not to just rush off and do something that I would regret later. You really need to take the time when adversity hits you like that, whether it's infidelity, whether it's going through serious illness like we both did with the breast cancer. You've got to take the time to get yourself back on an even keel, because that's what you need to make good decisions.
Yes.
And it's very, very difficult. You want to go off, fly off the handle, make decisions because you feel like shit or you feel like crap. And and then you've made the wrong decision. You've got to think, I need to step back. What's my best long-term interest? That needs to be in the back of your mind all the time.
And sometimes when we're going through this stressful event, our brain is not getting the oxygen and the blood to it, and we cannot make clear decisions. So by stepping back and giving yourself time and breathing and probably doing qigong and exercising gets the blood back, and you can make better decisions.
And then if you have rebuilt maybe a good circle of friends,
yes,
you can discuss with them what your best options are, so that you don't put your foot in it and end up in a worse state than you were before.
Right.
I have to say, though, I was very lucky. I interviewed a lot of women for my Adulterous Wife book. And my story was a walk in the park compared to what a lot of them went through. You do want to try and not demonize your partner or his mistress. And in some circumstances, these guys or sometimes these women behave very, very badly. I heard of stories where the husband would slowly salt away all the money abroad and then dump the wife for the younger woman, leaving her with nothing. And those were horrible stories. Again, you had a nasty custody battle.
Yes.
I didn't have to deal with any of that kind of behavior. So I had a lighter time of it than I might have done. And I feel very grateful that I was lucky enough to go through it. And I think even though I would not want to go through how I felt after the infidelity again, I would not want to go through how it felt when I got cancer again and going through chemo and radiation and all of that. I feel like I'm in so much better a space than I was before any of that happened. While I thought I was happily married. When I thought I was happily married, I really was half the person I am today. Absolutely, no question. I'm a published author. I write for Huffington Post. Arianna Huffington liked my book so much that she invited me to write for Huffington Post. So that's nice to have that kind of recognition. I plan to have a business showing women how to get through this kind of problem. I'm writing more books. I'm probably also going to go back to my BBC radio roots and do voiceovers and set up my own podcast, go back to interviewing like I did when I was working in the Stone Age days of the BBC broadcasting. So all of this is fairly new, and I would never have taken that path if it hadn't been for the fateful text I discovered on my husband's cell phone.
Oh my, yeah. And doesn't life just throw us this curveball? You know, you think your life's going this way, and then all of a sudden you find this text and you're going, oh, now what do I do? And how do I deal with it? And so how did you turn your life around to where you are today?
Well, having a good set of friends, going back to thinking, what do I enjoy? What's my passion? And that brought me to writing and to developing my own circle of friends, completely unconnected to my husband, much, much better.
So you rebuilt your identity.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel so much more complete as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are ways that you can use adversity as a catalyst for becoming something better than you were before. If everything were hunky-dory, if everything were wonderful, why would you bother to change?
That's a good point. Yeah, right. And it's almost like there's some kind of growth spurt through all this. You know, you get to learn who you are, you get to change your life, and that takes courage to be somebody new and somebody different. And it's almost like you came to a why and you said, well, I've been on this road. It's time to take this road and go a different way now and step into a whole new being.
It's time to take a look at who you are deep down and what you want to do with the rest of your life. And when you do have cancer, when you go through a life-threatening disease, and it was actually my second occurrence of breast cancer, certainly shows you that life is short. So life is short. Everything is ephemeral. Whatever it is, your job, your partner, your health, everything is ephemeral. So you can't take it for granted. And so you have to decide, what do you want to do with the rest of your life that'll make you feel fulfilled?
Oh, you know, that is a great question.
You know, what do you want on your gravestone? Well, I did answer all my emails. I did all the washing up.
People don't care about that.
Yeah, you know, I fell in love and I was happy. I wrote a book and it made me feel fulfilled, and even Arianna Huffington liked it. So those are the things that you're going to go to your grave feeling happy about, not the fact that you did all your emails and you vacuumed your living room.
Right. I agree. And then it's about giving back and sharing. It's kind of like you go through this experience so you can share with others, which either helps them go through their experience or makes them aware of it so they don't have to go through it.
That's true. And I found myself giving advice to people from all walks of life. So I can be talking to somebody that's doing a little bit of work for me, freelance work, cleaning for me, or doing some typesetting for me, or whatever it is. And then they'll start telling me about their relationship problems. And I just come out with the things that I've learned. And at the end of one particular conversation, one woman I was talking to said, "Oh, that was so helpful. I'm really grateful that you told me that. I feel so much better."
Yeah, see, isn't that nice?
So that's the kind of thing that I think I'm going to be putting together, whether it's mastermind groups or small discussion groups, something like that. I think that that's something that I have an affinity for, especially since I'm now writing this infidelity advice column on my website, adulterouswife.com. Yeah. And that just happened organically. I hadn't intended to do that kind of thing. It was just that one of the directors at divorceforce.com, which is a divorce resource website, was asking for people to chime in. He asked me to chime in and give some advice to people with some of the more difficult problems. So I wrote answers in those discussion groups, and I thought, well, I think I'm going to post those answers on my website. And now I've got 20 of them on my website, and they cover a lot of the problems people have to go through, going through divorce and going through infidelity.
Yeah, that's great. And so we're running kind of short on time now. We're coming to the close of our interview, but I'm just really enjoying this so much. But do you have a gift or something our audience can get a hold of you and learn more about what you do?
Absolutely. I have a free mini ebook available on my website. It's entitled Overcoming Infidelity: Tools to Tame the Emotional Roller Coaster. And it includes some excerpts from my book, Adulterous Wife, How to Thrive Whether You Stay or Not. And that book is available on Amazon in print and in Kindle format. So if you Google CJ Grace or Adulterous Wife, you'll probably find me, but my website is adulterouswife.com.
That's perfect. Well, I want to thank our listeners for being here today, and thank you very much, CJ, for all your wonderful input and advice and helping us. And I just appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jolen. I really enjoyed talking to you.
It was fun. Okay, bye.